Owning a pet comes with incredible joy, but sometimes there's a darker side. We often believe it's something that happens to others, maybe the neighbor, but not to us. Unfortunately, this time, it did happen to us. In this video, I am sharing our experience and the costs of Lumi's health issues. Obviously, I was aware before I got Lumi that there could be a chance that she would be one of those dogs with health issues. Not because the breed is known for them, but simply because you never really know. It's always a possibility with any dog or any other pets or even children. I distinctly remember asking the breeder if pyometra was an issue in this breed, but she told me she had not experienced those issues. But I had. Years ago, our family dog Coco, which I grew up with, suddenly got very sick one day. It turned out she had pyometra, which is a dangerous infection in the uterus of unspayed female dogs. After days of treatment and surgery, she survived, but it was a very close call. We were very lucky to have her for 4 more years, but she passed away at the age of 14, which was such a blessing to have her for so long. But the health scare definitely left a scar in me and my family, especially because my aunt's dog suddenly came down with the same thing, and then when my mom got her new dog after Coco's passing, she unbelievably also got sick with pyometra. So needless to say, I was very aware of the risk. At the time I was visiting the breeder, I had not yet decided if I wanted a male or a female dog. I was very close to choosing a male dog because I was so scared of the chance of a female dog getting pyometra. The first vet visit came early on actually. One morning she woke up and one eye was really droopy. For some types of dogs this can be normal to have a little bit loose skin around the eyes as they grow, but this did not look normal to me. And that was the first health-related issue we had. Luckily, it was nothing serious other than a small eye infection, and we were sent home with a special cream and some eye drops. I remember it was so hard to hold her with one arm and having to give her eye drops with the other. She was so wiggly. What a time. Lumi was not even a year old when the itching from hell started. First I thought it might just be her changing the coat from summer to winter, but the itching continued. I was told that there is a chance that it could be a sand flea bite, as dogs can be bitten by those at the beach and develop an allergy towards them. And it actually happened so that we had been to the beach around the time when the itching was worse. The itching kinda came and went, so it was really hard to pinpoint what it could be. But the beach theory seemed right. At the vet, I believe she was given an injection that would stop the infection from the allergy, and I don't remember if we also were prescribed some pills. Either way, the month after we went back to the vet to get an allergy test because the itching came back. Apparently there are different kinds of tests, and I don't remember what kind this was, but it showed that she had no allergies, which was so confusing. We got some pills for her. I think they're called adrenocortical hormone, which isn't something they can stay on forever when they're this young. Or they can, but it would be really bad for their body. Bear in mind, I'm not a vet. I just know that humans can get this medicine too, and it is not good long term for the body, so I kinda assume it's the same for dogs. The pills were effective and stopped the itching. Sometimes even a long while after we finished the treatment, there was still no itching. So a lot of the times I thought we were finally over it, but I was wrong. Early 2024, Lumi got into her first heat. I remember being a little sad about it, seeing it as an official, she's not a puppy anymore. Even though she still was, especially mentally. She got into heat a little bit late, but it can be common for big dogs and this breed, so I was not worried about that. The heat is only supposed to be around 16 to 18 days plus minus, but Lumi's heat continued even long after 18 days. She didn't bleed a lot, so it wasn't a nuisance or anything, but I was just starting to get a little bit worried. I have read online that this breed can be in heat for longer, but I just wanted her to be checked over so I could get some peace in my mind. We got an x-ray done and it did not show any concerns, and she was given some medication that should help. My guess is that it was some kind of hormonal stuff, but I really don't know. Into the second month of bleeding, things got way worse. As you can tell, it's a lot. There was also really big spots on the sheets after a night of sleep. It was not good, and we had to go to the vet again, where we got an ultrasound. I believe they couldn't see anything, but we both agreed that the bleeding was very abnormal and it would be safest to book time for surgery. So in May 2024, she got neutered. They found that her ovaries were swollen or enlarged, and there were some infection as well. So I believe it was the right choice, but what are the chances? It almost feels like a curse in our family. I just want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about pyometra, as it is important to highlight the symptoms and make other dog owners aware. As already mentioned, pyometra is a dangerous infection in the uterus that happens to unspayed female dogs, usually within weeks after a heat cycle. Hormone changes make the uterus prone to bacterial infection, which causes it to fill with pus. Without treatment, pyometra can cause serious problems like kidney failure, blood infection, or death. The most common treatment is emergency surgery to remove the infected uterus and ovaries. There's something called open pyometra and closed pyometra. The open version is a little bit easier to detect, as there will be discharge like yellow, green, brown, or bloody stuff, and it might be smelly too. I believe it is less dangerous than the closed version, as the pus technically has a way out, but it is still a serious condition that needs vet intervention. The closed pyometra is the dangerous one, as the discharge doesn't come out and it stays trapped inside. The uterus can swell and rupture, causing the pus to leak into the abdomen, which is life-threatening. The reason it often goes undetected is because the early symptoms can just look like a really tired dog. Owners might think, oh, they're just having an off day, or maybe they'll feel better tomorrow, and therefore they end up delaying a vet visit until the dog is already very sick. Here are the symptoms to look out for. I know that Coco definitely had the closed pyometra, whereas Lumi had the open one. If you notice these symptoms, especially after a heat cycle, go to the vet immediately. Pyometra unfortunately gets worse quickly and needs urgent care as soon as possible. The best way to prevent pyometra is to spay your dog, basically have the uterus and ovaries removed. I just want to add that if you have a high drive dog, they tend to show no pain, so being aware of these symptoms is a must, because these dogs always have this always ready to go mood, and that can really fool you. Unfortunately, after the surgery, Lumi got a really bad infection in her stitches. I think it was because the bodysuit that she was given was a little bit too loose, and therefore she was able to lick the wound at night. The infection actually got really bad and it had smelly discharge. I felt so bad for her, but honestly you could not tell that she was in any pain. But it clearly looked very painful. We got pain medication and antibiotics to clear out the infection, and also I washed the wound daily, sealed it with antibacterial spray and a cream that protected the wound. Also, I bought the cone of shame, so there was no way for her to reach the stitches again. Lumi's wound, or her stitches, is infected, and it is super gross. I'm gonna go wash it now. Yeah, she doesn't want me to look at it. Oh, yeah, I know. No touchy. I feel so sad for her. It's the whole process has been a little bit frustrating, because I called the vet Friday and they asked me to send pictures, and I did, and I never got a response. So I called again Monday, because they're closed Saturday and Sunday, and then they were like, oh yeah, we have time Wednesday, so which is tomorrow. But I'm gonna call them today and just ask if I can just go and get some antibiotics, because I know that is what they will prescribe me anyway, so might as well get that started, and then we'll have the stitches checked up tomorrow if they're okay. Because the whole thing, the wound or the stitches are super warm, so, and they leak fluids. But besides that, she is feeling herself. So I don't think she has a fever. I am constantly worried, and I can definitely feel that I'm walking around with this anxiousness all the time, and yeah, I just want this to be over. I just want her to feel good. Boop. All right. I think we're going to go wash the wound. Yeah. Oh, big yawn. Well, that didn't go as planned. So she just ran full speed into the shower, and yeah, this is where we're at. Anyway, she still has some food left. But oh no, don't eat that. Hi. So I guess we need to buy a new cone today. This dog is seriously getting more expensive day by day. Love it. After months of testing new food and doing the elimination diets, the itching from hell was still an issue. I actually found fleas in the garden, and I was starting to believe they were the culprits. Lumi is on flea and tick prevention pills every year, so I knew that she did not have fleas. But fleas can still bite, and dogs can be allergic to the bites even though they aren't flea and tick prevention pills. So after a lot of reading and a lot of research, I was so sure it was fleas, especially because I found them in my garden. It just made sense to me. We went to the vet again, and I think I just need to explain that this is a clinic with a few different vets, so you don't always get time with the same one unless you ask for it. So this time it was a different vet. I presented the problem and what I thought was the issue, but she did not listen, and she was adamant that it was a food-related allergy. I told her that I already had done multiple elimination diets with no results, but she did not care. I actually got so frustrated, but she's the vet and I'm not. So on to another elimination diet we went, and oh, she made me buy a shampoo that was supposed to help with the itching, but it did not. I was so unhappy, and I felt so unheard after that visit. 5 months later, I went again because it was still an issue, and also it was winter, which is when fleas should not be active, so my flea theory kinda died. This time I got my usual vet, and we made another allergy test. It's a different one from the first one. Unfortunately, the blood test got lost in the mail, so we actually had to get another test. It was just bad luck, and luckily we did not have to pay for the second one. After a few weeks we got the results, and to my surprise it was actually not a flea allergy, but it showed reactions to dust mites, which oddly enough seems a little bit worse than a flea allergy because you can't see dust mites and they live in everybody's homes, so it is like fighting an invisible enemy. But finally I know what I'm fighting against, and that alone has lifted a heavy burden off my chest. The not knowing what caused the allergy reactions was so stressful because you constantly think about it and how to avoid it, and if you fed her something that caused it. When the itching was worse, it disturbed our sleep, and it definitely made me more tired and annoyed at times. I mentioned in my 2-year update video that training was hard sometimes because of her health issues, and this is one of the things that made it really difficult. She was showing signs of frustration, lack of focus, and acting out. Which makes sense, it would be hard for anyone to learn something new when their whole body is super itchy. Since December 2024, she has been on these mild allergy pills, which has been super helpful. These pills are pricey and they will probably be a lifelong expense. Hello, this is just editing Mia here. I just want to quickly mention that her itching is back and we are in the end of May. Unfortunately, I don't know what has caused it this time, but I guess we'll have to run more tests, and yeah, it's an ongoing issue, unfortunately. Okay, back to the video. Bye! The worst health scare I have had with Lumi is a bit of a blur to me as it happened in the middle of the night. I woke up from the sound, which I thought was her jumping down from the bed to the floor. I just heard the usual bump, but then it was like followed by more bumps. It was so dark, so I got up quickly and turned on the light. I saw her struggling getting onto her feet, and I ran over to help her. Again, it's just all a blur, but as I sit next to her on the floor trying to calm her, she's bobbing her head weirdly back and forth, which I know is a very bad sign. I quickly grab my phone to film it because I know I'll have to show the vet. And if I just say, oh, she was bobbing her head weirdly, it might be too hard for them to visualize the severity or non-severity of that. She became herself again shortly after, but I was devastated from what I just experienced. I have actually had a dog who had epilepsy, and it unfortunately got brain damage from a seizure. This looked a lot like a seizure, except that she recovered to her normal self way faster than I would assume she would if it was a seizure. I sent the video to my vet and they agreed. It really looked like a seizure, and they told me to keep an eye on her. I was crying for almost 2 days. I was so scared. But as time has passed, there has been nothing happening ever since. So the question is if she may fell out of the bed or jumped, but maybe she slipped in the curtain and couldn't get up. If she was asleep and fell down, she may have slightly panicked and couldn't get up. Or what the video shows may just be her waking up being very confused, plus the sudden turn on of the lights. I really don't know. I just hope it was nothing. It happened in February 2025 and we are in June now. All in all, it has been a long health journey so far. I just wanted to share this because it's kind of the dark side of owning a pet. You really need to be prepared mentally and financially to help them through these things. And trust me, that can be very, very expensive. I am including this price list so you can see the amount I spent on her the first 2 years. Normally, I think you would only spend money on the vaccines and all that, but you can see there can be a lot of unpleasant surprises. I tried to convert the prices, but be aware there could be mistakes, and also prices of these things are different in all countries. If you're still here, thank you so much for listening. Feel free to share your own story or experience in the comments. I think it is so important to share and remind each other that we are not alone in this. And as always, please stay safe and give your dog a big hug from us. Goodbye.
Oh.